Not gonna lie to y'all, I had a completely different video that was gonna go out today, alongside my should you summon for Chacona or Sakona, however you wanna, however you wanna call it, right? But honestly, I felt like this was a video that needed to be talked about because I feel like a lot of content creators deal with a lot of BS, right? It's tough being an internet creator and knowing who your friends are, who your friends aren't, and understanding like, the differences between certain friendships. And it's been talked about before. I'm not the first one to talk about this type of thing. But I think like in general, like the situation that has happened today has kind of really shown in essence like how it feels to be a content creator, at least when it comes to gauging friendships and stuff. Now bear in mind, I feel like I've been a relatively real person in regards to not only being a content creator but being a very transparent content creator. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that some of the tendencies of other content creators I don't show myself. Like sometimes I'll reach out to bigger creators and I'll say, hey, I would love to do this, I'd love to do that. I've done that many times with bigger creators and said I'd love to do stuff, but at the same time it's not without some sort of genuine nature from me. I will point blank tell you if it's meant for just to climb a ladder. I mainly want to become part of a bigger space and be a creator. Now, some people are not like that. Some people will, take their time and, kind of, build up their audience and then go and be like, oh, let me go off of your audience and build off of that. And there's people that are like that. And it's just part of the business that we're in. It's the same with, acting, music, stuff like that. Everyone is trying to get bigger. It depends on how you go about it though, and if you're transparent with the people that you're talking to, right? And I could go on and on about that. I think that in general, that's just a generalized thing. But why am I bringing this up? Well, I feel that there's certain transparency in regards to the bigger CC space. Like I'm very small compared to even some of the newer, bigger CCs as well. Like dude, I've been doing this for years. I've been doing this for like 9, 10 years, just as like a fun little side project. And like even people who've gotten bigger than me, like I Toma, big shout out to him. He's doing great freaking content, right? Compared to shit that I'm doing. Right? Um, but I want to say that in the bigger content creator space, there's always going to be this type of situation happening, right? And what am I talking about? Well, let's go ahead and dive into it, right? Now, for those who don't understand, right, there's been a lot of stuff circling around Tectone, and I have my own things about Tectone. I love the guy. I think he's great. Every time I've met him personally, he's been a great guy. And that's probably going to get me a lot of dislikes on this video in the first place. And to that I say, that's fine. I'm being honest as a creator because from a personal standpoint with Tectone, I have no beef with him. He's been a great guy to me from the small interactions that we've had. But there are times when you're a content creator as big as him, right? And yeah, it's the small guy talking for the big guy, right? But it happens in all sorts of different lifestyles. It is really not just the entertainment circle. It is in the management circle too. I've been a manager at a company that I'm with for a long time. And there are people who like latched onto me and said, hey, you should help me with this. You should help me get promoted. You should help me do this. It's just how it is. It's how life is always going to be. Like being a bigger creator just means you're getting promoted. It's just how it is. But as you move up, you start to see people for how it truly is. And I'm bringing this tweet up with Sip Sip Stefan because it does involve him a lot. Now, what are we talking about? Well, let's go ahead and dive into this clip here.
I would say the only person who kind of turned their back on me, and that's okay because we weren't even that close, is Sip Sip Steven. That's okay though. Yeah, Sip Sip Steven considers me so far gone from logic, he won't even have a conversation with me, which is insane. That to me, I will admit, that shocked me. But that being said, we like talked once on stream, and then other than that, I just said, I like Steven because he's gay. Yeah, that's pretty much it. But you guys already know who that is. What does Slay know about logic? Yeah, who knows? But yeah, I mean, who would have guessed? I mean, yeah, I thought it was weird as fuck. But yeah, it would have been nice if he deemed me appropriate to have a conversation with. But apparently I'm so fucked up in the head that he can't even have a conversation with me. And he asked me specifically to not talk about this on stream, but I'm going to do that anyways.
Now, I'm not going to sit here and say that it's always a great thing to be leaking out private stuff, but at the same time, like, in the space that we're in, it's basically gonna happen. Like, I hate to say it. I'm almost certain that there's gonna be DMs between me and another person at some point. There has been one person that has always been on my radar that I've made sure to keep receipts on myself, and I think every creator does that. But that's besides the point. So, if you guys don't know, Tectone went through this whole thing with Hassan. There's been a bunch of drama with that. I didn't cover that because, you know, I felt it wasn't my place to talk about. I did talk about it a little bit, but when it comes to that stuff, like, people, like, I'll be honest, I think Hassan's a piece of shit. Like, that's just me. And I know that a lot of people think that too. But that's neither here nor there. That's another topic for another day. Let's talk about this. Or is it Steven? Stefan? I thought it was Stefan, but, you know, it is what it is. Okay, so it's Stefan, not Steven. People were correcting him in the thing. But I digress. A lot of this stuff came out, and it's because of this tweet that Tectone made, "Don't make me call my dad." Now, for those who don't know, I'm going to give a very brief thing. Tectone's dad was found out to be a guy with like 14 charges of SA against people in the army, and that's really fucked up. And from my understanding, Tectone has since cut ties from his dad completely, right? And it's stuff that he didn't know from what he says. And I can only take that at face value because I don't know him personally. I can't say that he would be lying. I've never known the guy, like, personally to lie from what he said in his comments, but, you know, people will disagree, and that's perfectly fine. Everybody has their own opinions. So, but I digress. He made a joke. Now, is this joke in poor taste? Absolutely. I will say that too. This was a joke that I didn't think needed to be made. That's just my take on it. I thought it was pretty crazy. And some people, they cope in certain ways. If they cope with dark humor, they cope with dark humor, and that's perfectly fine. However, it doesn't mean that everyone's going to agree with it. And that, again, is fine. Open a dialogue, which it seemed like Stefan did not really do. Now, the reason why I say that is because we go over here and you could see these DMs that he's had before, and you could see that Stefan has reached out to Tectone to be a part of the podcast and all that stuff, which, in my opinion, I get is pretty normal. Because as a smaller creator to a big creator, you want those opportunities. Hell, I'm not going to sit here and say that I didn't reach out to Tectone to be on the Gacha cast. It would be an honor. I'd love to be on the Gacha cast. I've asked many, many times. But again, small guy on the totem pole. He's getting hundreds of DMs all the time. I totally get it. Tectone, I'm just saying I forgive you. Okay, buddy? But as you can see here, we see these DMs as time goes on, right? And Steven has this DM, and then the next one, we see that he's talking about, you know, all this stuff too, where he's like, hey, you know, it's impossible for your side to combat the single narrative about yourself. He's being very positive towards him, right? And then you can even see that Tectone sent back even as early as April 28th. So this was last month, right? So all the shit went down, and I feel like there might be some context missing from this, because I see this message, but I don't think this is the first message. That's just one of the call-outs for me. You see, oh God, you want to fuck us on, which tweets have been put out there where, you know, Stefan says stuff like that. Whether it's joking or not, it's out there. It is what it is. But you could see, like, I just don't agree with you politically on this issue, and you did mention him below it. The tweet was obviously about him. And then as you go down, he says, honestly, Tectone, I feel like you're going down the alt-right red pill political grifting pipeline, and I just hate to see that for you and wish you wouldn't, as you've had a lot of great content that isn't this. And that's true. Like, this whole thing with the Hassan beef, like, I will agree, like, it was a weird little bit of time, because again, like, there's a bunch of shit, but at the same time, it just felt like there was this context that Stefan did not want to put out there. For those who don't know, Hassan, Frogan, Denims, their whole group came out with a bunch of stuff. Frogan has said, you know, she hopes that troops get PTSD. Tectone, being a supporter of the troops, said that's fucked up, blah, blah, blah. You're fat. All this back and forth. Hassan After all the stuff that happened with Ethan Klein, he started chiming back at Tectone. Tectone chimed back. To me, that whole group, Hassan, Frogan, and Denims, are absolute trash. That's my opinion, because I'm the same way. My cousin served in the military, and he deals with PTSD, not on a regular, but he does deal with it, with the stuff that he's gone through. And they don't understand how much it truly hurts those people. And he's a hard-working man. Dude works his ass off, right? So to me, when I heard all that stuff, I felt the same way. I was like, fuck Frogan. Fuck Denims, and fuck Hassan. Like, that's just how I felt. But to this, it's like you're labeling it as an alt-right red pill political thing when it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with supporting the troops. And, even Tectone asked questions, did not, answer, and that's fine. Like, you could say, like, hey, I don't want to answer those questions. That's not what I'm here to discuss. That's fine. However, you can't say something like this. Honestly, Tectone, I feel like you're going down the alt-right red pill political grifting pipeline, and then go into Tectone, I'm not here to debate you on politics. Stuff like that. So, to me, that just felt very, very off-putting. Some people would equate it to being a snake. I'm just saying. And I even said that in my tweet, right? I said that right below here, which, I'm not going to hide it. I said what I needed to say, and I'm going to be real with people. I'm very transparent. I've been a fan of Stefan, and I've used his guides before in regards to, helping me understand more kits and stuff like that. To me, honestly, I'm probably going to be not doing that because I'm actually kind of just looking at this being like, what the hell? I said, to me, I feel like saying I feel like you're going down I basically compared the two things. Just as a bad look, if you aren't willing to at least engage in a dialogue, sorry. I feel like I fucked up this sentence a little bit, but what I was trying to get at is, and then later saying, I'm not here to debate you in politics, just as a bad look. If you aren't willing to at least engage in a dialogue, you shouldn't say something like that. It just doesn't sit right with me, but you do you. That's what I meant to say, and I fucked up on my post. So it looks like gibberish, right? I fucked up. But people thought I was calling him a snake. I wasn't calling him a snake, but I'm also the type of person who, if the shoe fits, right? To go along with this, I also posted another post as well outside of this. I said, bruh, what is it with the gacha creators and being weird about shit? Be real with people you talk to. You don't have to make it about climbing a ladder or being nice to someone until they disagree with you. If you fuck with them, fuck with them. If you don't, you don't, but don't fake it. And that's the thing. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that I haven't tried to climb the social ladder, but there's also a way to be genuine about it and understanding people and learning about them and like actually becoming, a friend to them in some way, shape, or form. I have many friends in my circle right now that, have told me like, hey, I want to do stuff with you. I want to do content with you. I have people that I reach out to that are bigger creators in the space as well that have been so nice and generous to me about stuff that, obviously I want to be friends with them, right? I've talked with many big creators. Like, I've talked to Tectone before. I've talked to Shinya. I've talked to BranOnline. I've talked to freaking, Doro. Like, there's many people that I talk to around this space. And I feel as though, like, you could be genuine with people in general on all sides without being fake. And I felt like in this instance, and Stefan, this isn't meant to be as like a direct type of, well, it is direct, but it isn't meant to be like insulting, but I felt like in this instance, it was very fake. Like, you can't sit there and say one thing and then say another. And that's ultimately what I'm trying to get at. I'm trying not to make this too long, but I want to be 100% clear. Transparency between creators is a must. If you're going to say something like, I feel you're going this way, but then you're not willing to engage in a dialogue with your fellow creator, especially one that you were nice to, being friends with, and you acted friendly and because you wanted these opportunities, I felt you owed them at least that. Especially someone that you would say, like, honestly, probably before this, you would probably consider somewhat of a friend, but then when this whole Hassan thing came out and you didn't agree with it, you're not friends anymore. To me, I feel like one bad joke doesn't make you a horrible person. the joke that Tectone said, I will say I didn't like it personally. It didn't hit the same way for me. I thought it was kind of off-putting, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that I think he's a bad person. I just think he made a bad joke. And a lot of people associate like, oh, you said this, that means you're a horrible person. That's not how this works, right? The actions speak louder than words, and a lot of people don't understand like the actions that Tectone has done for the community in general have been a lot better, especially for growing creators, than the words of like a stupid ass joke, right? So to me, all I've got to say is to all my fellow creators, and I have a lot of great creators, like obviously, you know, I'll list up the ones I talk to a lot. Age, Checo, Sleeping Siren, you know, freaking Corsair, other gacha creators that I've spoken to many, many times before, right? To me, I feel as though we need to be transparent with each other. If we want to do stuff together, do stuff together. You don't have to make it just a social climbing thing. Fuck with the people you want to fuck with. That's just how it is. It's plain and simple. Be real with the other creators you fuck with, and maybe, just maybe, we could have dialogues between gacha creators that actually matter. We can actually understand each other rather than just pitting ourselves against each other, right? We don't want another situation where we have Atsu freaking saying, oh, I don't want to talk to this guy. He's creepy, but I'm going to keep him at arm's length, but also like tell other people not to fuck with him. Be real. Have that dialogue. And if you come to a disagreement where you don't fuck with each other, it's very simple. One of your friends comes by and says, hey, how do you feel about Tystra? Well, I don't really fuck with him too much. I disagree with a lot of the stuff he says, but if you want to talk to him, maybe you'll like him. How is that so difficult? It really isn't. Why do we have to go and do all this like childish bullshit, right? That's just me. Stefan, if you're watching this, know that I have no personal beef with you, but I feel as though with this particular situation, you don't look as good as you think you do. And that maybe you don't care about that. Maybe you just care about, you know, doing you and whatever, and that's perfectly fine. But I would say that if you're going to do a contradictory statement as you did, like, you're better off not saying anything and just saying, hey, I don't fuck with you right now. I don't want to talk to you when it comes to Tectone. To anybody else that watches this video, I would leave your comments down below. Like, am I the crazy one here? Am I crazy old gotcha grandpa? I definitely would love to hear people's opinions regarding this, because I feel like what I'm saying is correct. But at the same time, I want to have a healthy dialogue in regards to this whole debacle, because I feel like realism is missed between so many different like gacha creators, right? And I think it's time that we just have this transparency among each other and be honest. Like, if you're there to climb a ladder only, go bananas, dude. Like, try it. But at the same time, that's not going to get you anywhere. Be genuine with people and fuck with the people on the ladder that you want to fuck with. Because at the end of the day, they're the ones helping you up the ladder. You might as well be the beacon that helps out another person coming up the ladder too. And realize who's trying to help you. So, that's going to be it. I love you all to death. And I'm sorry if this went on a little bit longer than it needed to. So, anyways, love you guys. Take care. Be safe.